In this video, in Evony the King's Return, we'll be taking a look at attacking other players and the tactics you can use, and also how to better your scores in the kill event. Relating to this video will be some other videos I have available on my channel, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell notification to get notified when new videos go live, new guides. These guides that are currently available that will be good for this video are ghosting, best generals, defense video, a layering video, preset videos, and there are many others that are going to help you improve your generals and your research, stats, gear, everything. Firstly, we're going to get started with actually attacking another player, and we'll show you the steps that I go through to make sure that this happens. We'll then go through some stats and how to improve them, and then we'll come back and do another attack and explain it a little bit more. So firstly, I found this target. So obviously a small target, I wouldn't really recommend trying to go for a small target like this, but I'm going to teleport to them, and as quick as possible, before they know it, attack them, kill all their troops, and then bubble again. As you could see there, I attack them with a preset, I unbubbled, I then sped up the attack, which is not necessarily something you have to do. I click my city, I click city buffs, and then as quickly as possible put a bubble on. If you have a slower march than me, which may be 8 to 10 seconds, especially if you don't speed it up, you might be waiting there a little bit trying to click the bubble icon. If that's happening, that's fine, just keep spamming it until you can bubble again. Best case scenario, you could attack someone and bubble again in maybe under 6 or 7 seconds. That makes it almost impossible for someone to do anything to you, and as you could see, that was very fast and I managed to kill them. I'll just take a very quick look at the report here. So obviously this is a very small player, so they've already been killed before, so they didn't really have anything to kill there. But in terms of report reading, I do have a video on this. But you see my best general there, I've sent my subordinate cities, I've got my stats there that are unbuffed, so that's something to keep in mind that we'll do for the next attack. You'll see your debuffs here. For anyone wondering, debuffs that you have, either researched or from a general in your subordinate city, will only work up to 50% of the total amount of the enemy stats. As you can see, this player has very low stats, so my debuffs are more or less not working. Very low, although I do have an overall debuff of like 500%. Now taking a look in the city view, we're going to go over some ways you can increase your stats, look at some presets and a few other things. So in the forge, you can craft gear for anyone that does not know. Again, I have a video on this. For anyone that does not know yet, building at least the first yellow gear, probably nothing lower, is going to be the best to make sure you save your materials. Then you can move up to and build the King's Ring. These would be for boss generals, and this one will be for PvP. They're both the same in terms of requirements, so you know they're both King's Gear. The last one in the bow is going to be a King's Bow, and that applies to all of these, remembering that each weapon here has a different main troop. So this one is siege, ground, this one's mounted, and this one is ranged. For PvP, I'm going to be recommending as a basic march that you use a majority of range, and check out my layering video for a little bit more information on that. So when building this King's Gear, build it piece by piece. Make sure you attack boss monsters, participate in events, and get as many materials as possible and compose them. You can also star them to get them even higher in here, and also refine them, which is covered in my gear video. We also, in the top left in your avatar, have Monarch Gear, so when attacking players, you could have errors if you really wanted to, so that will boost all troop attack. But as you see, a level 5 does 16%, but if I go to my Monarch Gear combinations that I've set up, which you can also do, and I go to my Archer one, a level 5 archer will actually do 26% on each of these three, which are these are the ones that you change. 33 on this on a level 6, so it's actually better to have it just on one, but you could, if you really want, have errors as well. I do have a preset video available on my channel. We'll quickly go through these. So I only have one for PvP at the moment. You could have 2 or 3 if you wanted to set it up that way. So I've selected my best ranged general that I currently have with a dragon equipped. If you don't have those, that's fine. If you have any questions about that, ask down below. I don't currently have a video on it. You can also have a spiritual beast on your general, which I have a video for those. Select all of your subordinate cities. Again, a video on this is available on my channel. So I've got all these debuff generals, so Andrew Jackson, Nero, Sixi. You can have duplicates like I do, which will add up to quite a lot. I think it's over 400% debuffs between those that I have. I've selected a little bit of ground, a little bit more cavalry. A lot of my archers are 240,000 for my particular march size, so you can scale this up or down. A lot of siege here, which you can have a higher tier. I just haven't upgraded them. And as you go down, I've got 1,000 of each, but actually 2,000 of each range, because that's our best bet in PvP as a basic march, especially for anything over 200 in the server number. It's easily going to be the best to use range 90% of the time, because everyone, even on older servers, tends to have a lot of mounted troops, and it takes them a while to fill up their gaps in ranged, in ground, to be able to stop your attacks with ranged. Unless you are a very big player, a big spender, then you might have a little bit of trouble, but either way it's best just to use ranged anyway. Now also there are researchers available in the academy. Again, I have a video on this. I'll very quickly go through some of the key ones to look out for. So military, obviously coming through, maxing out the first 20 or so is going to be good, although you'll get the best bang for your buck by upgrading these ones that take 20 each one. Getting down to this one is going to be pretty good, up to 100% when maxed out. And also the HP defense doesn't matter as much, but you can. Getting your march size up in here through this research and others below it. Getting an additional march slot through this, which can also be gotten through the VIP level that you have. These ones can be gotten up that will only count if you are attacking. There are also ones in the defense tab that will only count when defending your own city. Troop training speeds. Again, you can just go through and get each of these up as you wish. In medical aid, you're able to get some of these ones up, which will increase healing speeds. Also, increases death turning wounded rate of ranged troops when they're attacking. These are quite expensive, and they only go up by 1 percentage point per one. Takes a while, but getting those up is going to be good to save troops from permanently dying when attacking, because when defending, a lot of your troops could be wounded if they're covered by the hospital, which you can see in my defense video. But when attacking, it's different, and you need a much better ratio to ensure your troops are not going to be dying nearly as much as the enemy will be. And obviously there's plenty of other researches to look at, such as recovery when attacking players in your own server. This is going to be helpful. Again, check out my research video for more information on that. Very quickly touching on spiritual beasts, the one you're going to want to be using for PvP, if you don't currently have a dragon, is the Thunder Scorpion, Bird of Hurricane for bosses, Lord of Lava for ground, and Behemoth King is siege, but sticking with the Thunder Scorpion is going to be good. And the dragon, if you have the first one, you can just use it on this, but other ones are better. If you do have those unlocked, you can determine by clicking on this icon in the bottom right. So this one does do marching range troop attack by 10%, and as I upgrade it goes up more. Also, generals, I'll actually go back to the main city view and just go through some of the best generals for attacking, but again, I have a video for this, which will include attacking generals, defense generals, and so on. So you could technically use Edward the Black Prince. He's not going to be the best one available, but he's good. Gustavus is going to be pretty good. Some of these debuff generals can be used on attack, like Arminius, like Canute the Great, but they're not going to be endgame ones. Alfred the Great can be used. Robert can be used, he's not the best necessarily. You can use Minamoto. As you see, this one's not too bad, Himoko. In Korea, as I'm using, you can use Gwangedo. Perhaps Jumong, but he's not the best. Li Shimin is used quite often, you can definitely use him. Can use Prince Rhaegar, because I know a lot of people get him at the start of a server, but again, it's best to go with one of the other ones that I've mentioned. And Electra can definitely be used as well. Again, I have a video on that if you need more information and you wanted to know more generals for more uses. Getting your level of the hospital up is going to be great. The level of your stables and so on to make sure you get those higher level troops. I just wanted to mention you want tier 10 troops, so keep level 25 and the building levels on these troop training buildings of 25 at least as well, to ensure that you're training the most useful troop tiers. If you're not able to get to that very quickly, maybe consider training tier 9, but just know that training mass amounts of them is not very beneficial. You may as well just wait, even if it's a month or two, to keep 25. Also, city buffs are available. So you got troop attack, defense, HP. We're going to put those on now. So depending on how many you have when attacking a player, you may want to consider not using them. If you are a free player and you don't have very many at the start of a new server, consider saving them, but you definitely can use them. March size capacity, these are expensive and you cannot get very many of them unless you start playing in a lot of Battlefield, server versus server. You're high ranking in the World Boss event and other avenues of getting these, but you can use these as well, especially as a large spender. You could probably spend more of your time using those. It's important to note as well, once you get your shrine leveled up, I forget which level exactly, you'll unlock the ability to have this flag here. So if you have this flag unlocked, then you're all good. If you don't, you can click the lock icon like this one. This flag unlocks it, keep 30. As you see down here, if I offer 20 times, I'll get a ranged troop attack of 10% for 24 hours. And I'm pretty sure you can stack that if you keep offering, or at least start the timer at 24 hours again. Just like if you were to reset a bubble, it'll just go back 24 hours if you use 2 in a row. Obviously, bubbling is going to be necessary to make sure you can't be attacked. When participating in the kill event, try to use only 8-hour bubbles to make sure you're not wasting tons of truce agreements. Remember, if you keep using truce agreements, you start getting a 1-minute cooldown between using them. So don't attack a player, then try to go attack another player and another player and another player. If you do that too quickly, you're not going to be able to bubble, and you might start panicking because you don't know what to do next. If that happens, make sure that you are looking out for enemies teleporting to you. If they do that, set a 60-minute alliance rally against their city to very quickly and easily hide your troops as quick as possible. If you need many marches to be able to do that, it may be too late to save some of your troops, but it's definitely something you can do. Don't try to send them away from your city, because it's just going to make it even more difficult, because once you start recalling them, you're not going to be able to teleport. You will be able to bubble, as long as you're not sending them against an enemy city, but it's just too dangerous to do so. It's best just to set a rally and check out my ghosting video to make sure that doesn't happen. Again, if you're not actively attacking a player, so your troops are returning from attacking a player, or they're just marching to somewhere random, you'll be able to bubble. If you're on an enemy server, you won't be able to bubble at all. And if you are marching against a player on a tile or anything, if you're currently marching, you cannot teleport whatsoever. All your troops must be in. Also, you cannot be rallying against another player. You will not be able to teleport. For anyone that's played other games and is new to this one, you cannot teleport around to avoid enemies regardless of whether or not your troops are in your city. Unfortunately, your best defense is just going to be simply bubbling, or the ghosting tactics, which again, I have a video for. When people have bubbles like this on their city, you can scout them, and I'll go ahead and scout one of my own alliance members right now, just to show you what happens when you do that. So it'll cost 500 gems to do so. I'm just going to speed it up so I don't have to wait, and you'll get a report. All it will be is you're able to see someone's remaining bubble time, so this person has over 2 days of their bubble left, and that will make it easier to find out when you can attack someone. I will now just go to my other bookmark here, and actually I won't, because I have to wait for my march to get back. Obviously I'm unbubbled here, don't really do this. My server is in a non-aggression pact at the moment. Remembering when you're teleporting around, the best thing to do is, like I did when I originally attacked this person, is to teleport right next to them, scout them if necessary. If you're too close to their level, scout them, see what troops they have before attacking. Remembering mounted beat ground, ground beat ranged, and ranged beat mounted. Siege are a little bit weaker against everything, but they're not too bad against everything too, especially because they keep their distance from everything else. They have a larger range, a much larger range than most things, except traps. If you don't teleport next to someone, it's going to make you very susceptible to attacks, because you cannot bubble while you have an outgoing attack against someone, and you definitely cannot teleport. I also wanted to mention, just before we go into that next attack, that we have the Watchtower, which is going to mean you'll get different information when scouting. So you can go through in this information tab that I've gone on and figure out what level of Watchtower you're going to need to see certain things. At 27 that I have, you'll unlock information on the type of target's reinforcement, so the troop type, and also I'll see the number. At level 30, that's the last buff that's available, and that will give you the idea of the stats that the enemy has. Now that my march has returned, we will actually go ahead and do that next attack and show you once more one of the best methods of doing it. I am currently unbubbled, so it may give you an additional warning if you're bubbled while trying to do this, so make sure that you're quick in selecting that. Again, I won't have that this time. You click them, click attack, click the preset that you can set up. Very quickly go to city buffs, truce agreement, and you can just spam the truce agreement button till that comes up. And as you see, I'm bubbled again in probably under 8 seconds or so. Again, in the report you can see the resources taken, my troops, my subordinate cities, my debuffs, and other things. Again, I have a video on report reading that you can check out. You can go to battle detail at the bottom, figure out what troops you sent, what troops the enemy had. Remembering that you should probably scout if you're not too sure first, but when scouting that obviously puts your troops at risk. If you are not too sure about it, you can teleport there while you're bubbled, ghost your troops, and then finally scout them, attack them when you're feeling safe to do so. Remembering that people can attack you as your troops return, and that's going to be what a lot of people do, so make sure you're bubbled before that happens, and don't send multiple attacks against the player unless you know you're really safe for whatever reason. If you do that, it makes it very difficult to bubble, and you certainly can't teleport. Just some other things to go through before we end the video is switch hitting. So if you were to have a teammate that would take an attack from someone on purpose, they can then teleport out of the way of the attack, which again, you have to be very quick with this. Trying to be on a voice call or something is probably going to be the easiest method to get this right, to make sure that you teleport, because sometimes if you're watching someone's city and they teleport or something like that, you may not even see them move for minutes on end unless you keep reloading their location on the map. For some reason that tends to happen, so you have to be careful. So by doing this method, you can teleport into their spot as they're being attacked, because someone was trying to attack a lower keep. You teleport into their spot and you take the attack instead. That's not really an attacking method, but I just wanted to mention it because obviously you're defending your own city by doing that. But that's something you can try out. Again, making sure that you're stronger than the opponent, otherwise it's pointless. And always make sure you have a defense channel assigned. When selecting targets, you're going to want to make sure that you go into the leaderboards, check out their generals if need be. So you just scroll through and you try to find their generals that are available. In here, if they're top 100, you'll see them. If they're not top 100, you won't see them. Once you go through there and check them out, see what generals they have, see what gear they have, try to judge what their stats are and compare it against your own generals, your own gear, and perhaps even try to get a report from someone else if they've attacked someone else before and see their stats, compare it against yours and attack them. Bearing in mind, in most cases, you're going to want to attack someone with a lower power if you're needing this video. If you're someone that doesn't need this video, then obviously you probably would be able to attack people that are higher. I have seen people attack and kill almost 500 million power in some cases for losing under 30 million in their own power, so it's obviously possible. With that, I think I'm going to end this video. If I've left anything out or you have any additional questions about attacking and other related topics, feel free to leave comments down below, ask those questions, suggestions for new videos and so on. Again, check out my ghosting video, best generals video, defense video, layering video, which is going to be about troop formations, about what you should send, and preset video, bunch of other ones available to be able to get your stats up, so research and so on. I won't list them all off. Subscribe, click the notification bell, check those ones out, ask your questions down below.